Events in the Toastmasters year are speech contests. They provide an opportunity for members to test their speaking skills at a semi-professional level and showcase some of the best speakers in the clubs, areas, divisions, districts, and around the world. With the current times, how we conduct speech contests has changed dramatically. Last year, districts around the world had to learn and experiment with conducting contests in an online environment. As you can imagine, it was incredibly challenging to assemble a robust, consistent, and fair contest platform, especially in a short amount of time. Some districts decided not to participate, while others took on the new challenge. With the collaboration of many districts around the world, we were able to assemble a spring contest season, ultimately leading to the International Speech Contest at the first ever Toastmasters Online International Convention, which became the highest attended convention in Toastmaster history. From the lessons learned from last spring, Toastmasters International has revised the rules and guidelines to this year's speech contests and provided some tips to ensure a productive, fun, and fair contest season. Tonight, District Director Michael Carlton will review some of these changes and resources. Please welcome our District 106 Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Michael Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you for inviting me to your club this evening to talk about this very important topic of speech contests, something that we are all excited about. As we know, speech contests are an important part of the Toastmasters International Education Program. They provide an opportunity for speakers to gain contest experience and to recognize the best speakers as encouragement to everyone. And contests also provide an opportunity to learn by observing the more proficient speakers who have benefited from their Toastmasters training. Many of us on the call tonight have competed in speech contests or have been involved in them one way or another. I myself have never had the opportunity to compete in a speech contest, although someday I very much look forward to. I didn't learn about speech contests truly until I was in district leadership, and then I found out I was not eligible. Someday I will be there. Tonight, I would like to talk about some of the rules regarding speech contests, and more importantly, some of the changes that have occurred, partly with the online portion. And of course, every year they always do some minor revisions to the contest rules. Tonight, I would like to review some of those for the group. And at the end of my presentation, I will open it up to some question and answers to see if I can, and I will do my best to accommodate in the short amount of time that I will have for that. I'm going to start by showing the district website of where I found the information that I'll be discussing tonight. On the Toastmasters International website, if we go to resources, there is a section for speech contests, and within there is all the information I'll be talking about this evening. This is available to everybody. You don't even have to log in to get this information. The speech contest rule book is listed right there. And some of the other good pieces of information that I'll be referencing tonight. Best practices is a good section to read. The speech contest rulebook changes, I'll show that briefly. And then the video recording guidelines for online speeches, I'll be talking in depth about that section there. I'd like to start by talking about the speech contest rulebook. I suspect everyone in this club has read this piece of literature thoroughly. If not, I would encourage you to do so. This book is revised for this calendar year, our Toastmaster year, from July 2020 to June 2021. If we notice in the table of contents, or just past that, in the introduction, some of the new rules for those of us that are familiar with the past rules and been doing this for a long time, some of the new rules will be marked with this little black diamond here next to where these rules changes have occurred. Let's go ahead and review some of these right now. I want to jump to Speech contest policy, this is pretty much standard as it was before. I want to spend some time talking about eligibility because there are a few changes here that are important and a few rules have been around for a long time that are definitely worth reviewing. For example, let's see, to be eligible, and this comes up every year as conversation, but to be eligible in any official Toastmasters contest, a member must be a paid member of a club in an area, division, and district in which he or she is competing. The club must also be in good standing. We are coming up on renewals time, so if you're planning to compete, make sure your dues are in and make sure your club is in good standing. By good standing, that means a minimum of 8 members renewed or more. If the club is not in good standing, that speaker is not eligible to compete. Any new dual or reinstated member must have dues and membership applications current with world headquarters. One new rule here, only members who joined Toastmasters prior to the rollout of pathways in their region can apply speeches from their competent communicator manual to the speech contest eligibility. As we've known for many years, to be eligible for the International Speech Contest, one must have completed at least 6 speeches in a competent communicator in the prior education program or have achieved a level 2 in the pathways. If a member has joined after the pathways rollout for District 6 and 106, which was May of 2018, I believe it was, they must have completed a level 2 in pathways. Any of the prior education programs for any of those members will not be eligible for competing in a speech contest. Maintain eligibility at all levels of the contest. Not a new rule, but not something that comes up very often. If at any time, any level, it is determined that a contestant was ineligible to compete at any previous level, the contestant must be disqualified. For example, if you competed in your area contest in early April and your club was not in good standing and you won that contest and you advance onto the division level contest and then your club is now in good standing, the fact that you were not in good standing at that prior contest will disqualify you. So make sure you communicate with your club members and get your clubs back in good standing. There was another spot. The following people are ineligible to compete in the Toastmasters contests. Most of us know this who are in these roles, but just to review, anyone who cannot compete would be the district director, bummer, the program quality director, club growth director, the administration manager, the finance manager, public relations manager, any division director, and any area director, any international officer, and director candidates. So Harold Osmondson cannot compete. The immediate past district directors. District officers or candidates campaigning for election positions for the term being for the upcoming term for the next Toastmaster year. So anyone who is running for next year's division or district trio roles are ineligible to compete in a speech contest. Presenters of education sessions, contest chairs, contest Toastmasters, chief judges, and event committee chairs for the event at which the contest will be held, including area, division, and district events, as well as international conventions. So if there is a competitor, they cannot fill another role within a contest. A new rule, contest chairs, chief judges, voting judges, tie-breaking judges, timers, counters, sergeant-at-arms, and test speakers may not compete in the contest at which they are serving in these roles. We just covered that. Toastmasters who are members of more than one club and who meet all eligibility requirements are permitted to compete in the club contests in each club for which they hold membership. So in summary, as competitors, we can compete in every club that we're a member in. Once we've advanced past club, we can only select one area to compete in. No competitor can compete in more than one area, division, or district at any time. So a lot of us are in multiple clubs. If you're going to compete in all your contests and you win first place in 2 or more, pick the one path that you're going to pick the one area that you're going to pursue your journey towards the international speech contests. Most of this is, let's see. There was another section I wanted to cover here briefly.
Michael,
yes.
Hey, Michael, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm only seeing the Toastmasters International website and not the speech contest rulebook from which you're reading. Would it be possible to show us the rulebook?
That's because I moved it to the monitor that's easier for me to see. Shame on me.
I'm so sorry. I'm a visual learner, so I like being able to read along.
That's all right. Well, thank you for bringing that up, because I kind of forgot. This whole Zoom world is, I'm adjusting just like everyone else is.
All right, thank you.
Speech, subject, and preparation. This is another important piece. Most of us know the rules for this. Primarily, I want to focus on section 4, letter D, 1 and 2, and the letter E. A contest must create their own speeches, and each must be substantially original. 25% or less of the speech may be devoted to quoting, paraphrasing, or referencing another person's content. Any quoted, paragraphed, or referenced content must be so identified during the speech presentation. Before all contests, every contestant must certify in writing with the chief judge that the content of their speech is or will be substantially original, using the speaker's certification of eligibility and originality form. A new rule that they passed this year is contestants must not reference another contestant or a speech presented by another contestant from the platform at the same contest in which they are competing. For example, of all the competitors, we have 6 competitors up on stage. None of the competitors can reference any of the other competitors or any component of their speech. It has to be your own. In the past, it was kind of a strategy for some of our past district champions. They would take little nuggets from some of the other speeches from the presenters that went ahead of them. That is no longer allowed, and that could create a protest. So we don't want to do that. Most of this other stuff is pretty standard, but by all means, I encourage everyone to read the rule book, get familiar with the rules that have been around for a long time, and watch for these little black dots for anything that's new to make sure that we're all compliant in this speech contest season. Video recording. This is another hot topic. This is another one of the flyers that was available on the Toastmasters International website. Let's take a few moments to focus on this here. So preparing for your contest, this is the same as last year. Check your space, make sure you have a good meeting space, make sure your lighting is good, make sure your audio is good, your video is good. Audio. So rules as far as Toastmasters International. I'm going to focus on the international speech because these are the videos that we submit for the region quarterfinals. And these, once they're there, we don't have control of them. We want to make sure that they're tip top so that our international district speech champion has a good chance of advancing to the international stage. The audio must be clear and without echo, static, or other excessive noises. So practice in your speaking areas. Make sure it's not echoey. Remind the kids to go play outside, whatever it takes. And make sure your audio is clear, whether you're using a microphone like I am, or if you're just using the mic on your device, laptop, iPhone, iPad, whatever. I would suggest not using a phone. Try to use some other device, unless you're using the phone for a camera, because they do work nice for that. The camera must record in high definition. If high def is not available on the camera that you're using, then try to record in the best quality that you can. If you have a camera that's not so great. You may want to try to find other alternative methods, at least by the district level contest, so we can get the most crisp recording available. Another rule, only a single camera setup is permitted. Use of multiple camera angles is not permitted. Now, I haven't seen that in our district, but it has been an issue internationally. The only camera you can use is the one that's right in front of you that you're using for your presentation. The camera must be placed on a tripod to maintain stability and prevent unwanted movement. Essentially, make sure your camera is stable. If you're using your laptop cam like I am, make sure it's on your desk, it's at a good eye level, and it's not going to move around. Any movement of the camera can count against you or disqualify you for your speech. The camera must have an unobstructed view, in focus view of the contestants. The entire speaking area must be visible throughout the recording. Now, we've talked about this in the past, and a lot of this, we covered this last spring and last fall. The speaking area, make sure the speaking area you have is clear. Make sure as much of you is visible as possible. Toastmasters International requests that your whole body is visible, yet at the same time, they want to be able to see facial expressions. For many of us, if we're so far back from our camera, it's hard to see what our face is doing. So what we did last time was we'd like to see half to 3/4 worth of your body if you're in a standing position, so that you're close enough to where you can see the facial expressions, your smiles, your frowns, your eye rolls, as well as far enough away so we can see the body language and the gestures that you'll present in your presentation. Contestants do not have microphones, that can be in their bodies. Ensure that the defined distance still allows their microphone to clearly record their voice. We recommend conducting a sound check with contestants at a defined distance when adjusting the distance as needed. During the speech contest, we will be conducting our briefings like we did last time. We'll be scheduling briefings for the evening or 2 days before the actual contest to give us ample opportunity to do a sound check, to do a video check, and to define the speaking area. Now, the speaking areas are defined by, as we mentioned before, we typically define the speaking area as to what's fair for all of the contestants competing. We want to make sure everyone has the same and similar speaking area. And at the district level contest, these will be defined and that will be submitted to the region quarterfinals along with the video winning speech. So the speaking area may be different from each contest, but we're going to set it to be consistent for every contest, especially the international contest. That will be defined during the contestants' briefing. There's a lot of more good information here on lighting. During this meeting, I'm going to be sharing the files that I have displayed tonight, the contest rule book, as long as these few other pieces. And I've also got a short video that Diane Windenland actually put together with good tips on how to present well on Zoom. I see I'm at the yellow, so I'd like to take some time for a little Q&A from any of the members tonight that have any questions for me that I can hopefully answer for you. Jim.
Virtual backgrounds or screen sharing?
Good question. Virtual backgrounds are not disallowed by Toastmasters International, although Toastmasters does strongly encourage to not use the virtual backgrounds, mainly because it does create that fuzziness behind you. And sometimes when you're backing up or walking away, you can disappear into it, which can create some eligibility issues. And it definitely gives the edge to all the contestants who are not using virtual backgrounds. So we may have to do some spring cleaning for our offices. Good thing I'm not competing. So yes, they're not disallowed, but I would avoid them.
Screen
Sherry.
sharing? But what
Question,
about,
Mike, Director Mike, I was just going to ask, if you're in a different district and you're competing in one contest, could you still compete in another district in a contest?
That's a good question as well. Once you have selected the area regardless of any area, division, or district. You're only allowed to select one path across the entire globe. So if you win your club here in Minnesota and you win a club in India, you can only pick one path. So good question. Thank you. And Jim Marie, you'd asked real quick about screen sharing. Screen sharing, again, not disallowed, although strongly encouraged not to do so. George, you have a question?
Yeah. So you were saying that people should be half or 2/3 visible, and but their face still be viewable. So what happens if they don't? Are the judges to mark them down on their ballots, or are they disqualified by the chief judge, or what?
The speaking area, excuse me, the
Red.
speaking area for an online contest is very much like the speaking area of an in-person contest. In person, we usually have a stage or we have a room, and the speaking area is defined by such of what the contest chair sets up at that time. Speakers are encouraged to stay within the speaking area, and stepping outside the speaking area is not a disqualification, although it can be marked against you on, by the contest judges. There is a section on the judges form, if we all recall, if we've read that, of speaking area. So it could be marked against you. So if one person is limited to their desk and the other person has the grand ballroom, and the ballroom person wants to use that whole ballroom, it may count against them. And that'll be defined. We usually define that in these contest briefings. We're doing them the day or two before to ensure that we have ample time so that everyone has a fair setup. I see I'm at the red. I do spend a lot of time at the red card, and I don't want to hog it. Any other questions that do come up, please definitely reach out to our program quality director, who is overseeing contests this year, distinguished Toastmaster Kimberly Reddington. Gopu Shrestha is always in the room. He's available. And I'm always available as well. You can reach out to me, the district director. Our contact information is on the website, but I believe you guys all know where to find me. Thank you very much for letting me come in tonight and presenting. And good luck to all of you this contest season. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you.